On the first day of marrying the prince, the woman was heartlessly thrown into the abyss by her new husband. Fortunately, she was caught by a dry branch, saving her life. When Jessie regained consciousness, she hurriedly shouted for help at the mouth of the cave, but received no response. Jessie decided to start climbing towards the cave's ceiling, but the rock walls were smooth, with no footholds to grip. She began to search for another way out, soon arriving at a cave emitting a blue light. Yet she had to cross a deep and unfathomable chasm to reach it. Jessie gathered her courage and jumped towards the opposite side, her injured leg almost causing her to fall off the cliff. In a critical moment, the chain on her clothes caught in a crevice, allowing her to stabilize her body. She took out a dagger from her pocket. After a strenuous effort, she finally climbed up to the platform. The source of the blue light turned out to be composed of insects and their secretions. Jessie tore off a piece of her clothing, placed fireflies inside, creating a makeshift lamp. There was also a pool of water in the cave. Jessie eagerly scooped it up to drink, but the water was too dirty. She could only quench her thirst with water dripping from the melting ice above. Just as she closed her eyes to savor the taste, the ice pillars above suddenly began to melt. A monster followed the flames and fell into the cave. Jessie quickly hid inside the cave, thus escaping the monster's pursuit. Suddenly, she noticed markings on the wall, and many dead girls' clothes around her. She suddenly realized that these were all girls like her, deceived by the prince, given to the monster to feast upon. In this temporary safe zone, Jessie rested against the stone wall. Soon she woke up abruptly, finding a group of fireflies stuck to her feet. She quickly removed the fireflies, and was astonished to find that her original wound had miraculously healed. She then grabbed a firefly and placed it on her arm. And indeed, the wound began to heal rapidly. With her restored health, Jessie instantly gained confidence. Based on the map left in the cave, Jessie learned that by following this direction for a while, she would reach another exit, indicating that someone had escaped before. After inscribing her name on the wall, she slowly entered the new passageway with the fireflies. Soon she found a place where sunlight streamed in, an opening filled with crystals. She picked up the crown from the ground, tore off her long skirt, wrapping it around her limbs, and began to climb upwards. Suddenly, a dark shadow appeared at the cave's ceiling, emitting a terrifying roar. Witnessing this scene, the monster opened its mouth. In a critical moment, Jessie used the crown to hook onto a rock, fortunately saving her life. However, when Jessie reached the exit, she discovered that the exit was actually above a cliff. With no way down, Jessie's emotions collapsed. Just as she fell into despair, the sound of horse hooves suddenly echoed in the distance. She quickly waved her arms and shouted for help. Unexpectedly, the monster suddenly flew towards her, scaring Jessie into retreating to a corner, only to discover a skeleton nearby. It dawned on her that the woman who drew the map on the wall did not succeed in escaping. The monster opened its mouth, preparing to breathe fire. Jessie realized that she could no longer escape. At that moment, a shout interrupted the monster's attack. The monster immediately flew over to investigate. Hearing her father's voice, Jessie hurriedly turned back, but accidentally stumbled into the monster's lair. In front of her lay a crown and the bodies of 3 young dragons. Jessie also figured out the reason she was framed. Years ago, the monster's mother dragon laid 3 dragon eggs, but just as new life was about to be born, the king ordered the execution of the 3 baby dragons. As sharp screams echoed through the cave, the mother dragon appeared, but the mother dragon unleashed flames that consumed everything. They could not withstand the mother dragon's fury. The king realized he had brought great calamity upon them, and immediately knelt down, begging for mercy, expressing willingness to pay any price for forgiveness from the mother dragon. The mother dragon demanded retribution in the same manner, requiring the king to offer up his 3 daughters as sacrifices. Henceforth, every new king had to offer up 3 daughters before their coronation, as a way to appease the souls of the slain dragons. However, how could a king bear to sacrifice his own daughters? Thus, they resorted to deceiving unsuspecting young girls under the guise of marriage, only to send them to the dragon's lair as sacrifices after the wedding ceremony. And Jessie was one of the victims. At this moment, her father and the soldiers ventured into the dragon's lair, But faced with the colossal dragon, the human soldiers were utterly powerless, and were quickly and decisively defeated. Though fearful, Jesse's father hesitated not and drew his sword, charging forward at all costs to save his daughter. This scene happened to be witnessed by Jessie, who had just arrived. The mother dragon sensed her presence, immediately using her father as leverage to lure her out. Despite repeated warnings from her father not to come out, he decided to sacrifice himself, only wishing for his daughter to safely escape from this place. Jessie saw her father pierced through the chest by the dragon, letting out a painful scream. Upon hearing this, the mother dragon swiftly turned to search for Jessie, desperately hiding behind a rock. In a critical moment, a soldier, preparing to flee, accidentally made a noise. Immediately drawing the mother dragon's attention, the soldiers hurriedly fled, successfully luring the monster out of its lair. Jessie took the opportunity to approach her father. Her dying father entrusted Jessie to use the rope he left behind to escape. Her stepmother and sister would be waiting outside, while the mother dragon was chasing the soldiers. Jessie tightly grasped the rope and began climbing upwards. The mother dragon quickly realized the change in targets. In a fit of rage, she crushed the soldiers to death. Then, flapping her wings, she swiftly charged towards the fleeing Jessie. Seeing this, Jessie desperately climbed higher. Not daring to pause even for a moment, the dragon's flames roared towards her. Fortunately, Jessie had climbed up the cliff ahead of time. Escaping from the cave, she knew the mother dragon wouldn't easily let her go. Immediately riding her white horse towards the seaside, unexpectedly, the mother dragon burst out of the lair, roaring furiously. Jessie realized she couldn't outrun the dragon on horseback, so she quickly dismounted, hiding beneath a large rock. Only catching up to the horse did the mother dragon realize she had been tricked. Instantly enraged, she spewed flames, scorching the entire forest. The queen in the castle witnessed this apocalyptic scene, immediately guessing that Jessie had provoked the dragon. In order to appease the dragon, she ordered the soldiers to bring Jessie's sister, and threw her off the cliff as a sacrifice to the dragon. When Jessie finally escaped and reunited with her stepmother, she learned that the queen had taken her sister. Determined to rescue her sister, Jessie decided to return to the dragon's lair. Drawing from her past experience, Jessie bravely stormed the dragon's lair, reaching the blue light cave and creating firefly lights. She used the sewage in the pool to mask her scent, gathered scattered weapons into a pile, constructed a makeshift timed mechanism to divert the dragon's attention later, then picked up a sword from the ground, preparing for battle. The dragon, too, lay in wait, anticipating Jessie's return to save her sister. Half an hour later, from a distance, the dragon heard the noise. Mistaking it for Jessie, the dragon immediately leaped towards the source of the sound. Jessie took this opportunity to find her sister, but unfortunately, her sister was severely injured and unable to escape quickly. Upon realizing it had been deceived, in the blink of an eye, the dragon charged back. Jessie instructed her sister to hide temporarily. While she prepared to face the dragon alone, she revealed the truth to the dragon, exposing the king's lies, revealing that the royal family had not honored the promise to offer up their daughters, but had deceived innocent girls through false marriages. Despite her explanations, the dragon refused to believe. With no other options, Jessie drew her sword to confront the dragon, only to be burned by the dragon's flames and fall into the water. After climbing out of the lake, Jessie attempted to retrieve her sword, only to be tackled by the dragon once again. Enduring severe pain, Jessie swiftly pulled out a dagger from her chest to counterattack, successfully blinding one of the dragon's eyes. She then picked up her sword again, reiterating that she was not of royal descent. However, the dragon still believed otherwise, as it had detected the scent of royal blood on Jessie. With no other choice, Jessie plunged her sword into the dragon's palm, temporarily breaking free from its grasp. Realizing the dragon's growing anger, Jessie walked towards a large rock, intentionally provoking the dragon to breathe fire. The dragon was consumed by its own flames, letting out a piercing wail as it fell to the ground. Upon seeing this, Jessie extended her palm to explain that every time a prince married a girl, a cut would be made on his hand, allowing royal blood to flow into the girls' bodies. For centuries, the royal family had deceived the dragon using this method. Jessie raised her sword and thrust it down forcefully, but she did not kill the dragon. They were both victims. Only by working together could they confront the true culprit, the royal family. Jessie walked into the pool, using fireflies to heal the dragon's wounds. Then she returned alone to the castle. At this moment, in the great hall, the prince was still deceiving ignorant girls at the wedding ceremony. She approached the stage, releasing the bride, then loudly warned, giving others one last chance to escape. But the queen, relying on the crowd, showed no concern at all. Suddenly, the dragon appeared above the castle. As Jessie turned to leave, the kingdom was engulfed in flames and fell. Jessie departed from there, and above her, the dragon flew slowly. It would take her father's place to continue guarding Jessie.